Hello from the Yarn Closet in Tucson, Arizona. This is Laura, and I'm just recording. I was talking to you a moment ago, but now I'm recording because you didn't say anything. And there is Chip with his little stuffed fox. It's almost as big as he is. Oh, you might just get to see what he does with his favorite friend. Yep, that's what he does with his favorite friend. And yes, all my animals are fixed. Whatever. He's a small dog. He doesn't get a lot of joy. It is so dry here. I put industrial creams on today. It's crazy. And windy. I will say one thing about podcasting and Vlogmas. Having to look at myself almost every day. You know, it's the lines, it's the old ladiness. I'm seeing it. I lost an earring yesterday. I had to swap out my earrings. Or a couple days ago or whatever. I noticed it yesterday. So it's always a bummer. Oh, I am TheYarnCloset AZ on Instagram for those of you who don't know. And I am the Yarn Closet blog over on Patreon. You can join for free, follow for free, and get free pattern downloads. Crocheting, knitting, loom knitting, and what to do with sock tubes. Remember my little jogless join? You absolutely cannot tell anywhere around here. Does that look funky? That looks funky, but it was just the rib. And you can't tell on the inside. There's nothing. So I am going to practice that. And in thinking about the upcoming sweater year, you know, I've been trying to throw in little bits of working with two colors. I've come to the conclusion that color work may not be my deal because there's a lot to think about. And I'm already thinking about a lot when I'm trying to do this stuff, people. If I get an easy pattern that I don't have to like catch floats in the back, I could see doing it with just two colors. Although I can't seem to get my head around the logic of, aren't you using twice as much yarn in that section that you're doing the color work? Because you're carrying it? Or almost twice as much yarn? No. But I have realized, because I have known this, I am Danish. I am Danish and Northern Italian predominantly. And many, many generations ago, people in the colder climates would wear usually a long-sleeved, more boat-necked sweater underneath their garments. And women's were usually very short, just underneath like a yarn bra. Because if you were having to move that to feed a baby, it was easier. Men's tended to be more tunicky. They wore it. They're called bed sweaters. They wore them to sleep, but they wore them all day long under their clothes too when it was that cold. And what people ended up doing is they were oftentimes one color, but instead of color work, they did texture work. The pattern was made out of texture. If I can figure out some charts, I think that I would really like this because it's texture, number one. you're not managing two different colors unless you're doing alternating skeins of indie dyed. I like the shape of these type of sweaters because it's that square shape that I like, with a little bit of ease. And so I actually figured out that this book was literally, the book itself did not come in large print, but came in a larger format book. So I bought it, and with my dad's Christmas money. And I'm trying to look through that, and I know that I can set it up because it opens quite well. And I can put my camera on it and see it on my screen larger to be able to follow it. And some of them, I think, have repeats that I could remember to get that all over patterned look. Can you tell this all over patterned look? That just sounds fascinating to me. And maybe that would help keep me engaged on some of those single color sweaters that I'd like to have, but I find knitting one color really, really boring. So I was going to show you that. I am trying to finish this up and get it blocked so I can maybe give it to my mom tonight. You know, because I don't really like the triangle, but I don't think she's going to care one way or the other. But I'm also, I will move you. People have asked me, well, why are you starting to weigh your yarn? What is that about? Because I think a lot of people don't really understand the benefit. So this is why I'm weighing my yarn. So I made a few of these way back when. Okay, let me try to show you what it is. I know the lighting is goofy. Deal with it, people. My lighting is always goofy. So this is made from a sock tube. It's one of the best, in my opinion. And I believe this is the 72. So I'm going to make a 64 for my daughter's teacher. But the reason that we weigh it, so I weighed this to figure out how much yarn was in it to see if a 50-gram skein would work, and it will. And I'll verify that this is a 72 stitch. And then once I make a 64, I will weigh that to find the difference. So in a pattern, I can state, you know, if you either knit or use a sock tube in so many stitches, this is what you will roughly get if your gauge is blah, blah, blah. Well, look at that. I got a drop stitch. Like I totally have a drop stitch in this too. Can you see it? I've been wearing this. I've been watching this. So, but this was one of my early tubes that I wasn't too particular with, so I'll fix that up. A lot of times if it's for me and I don't really care, I might just take a bit of yarn and a yarn needle and pull it up through the hoops and tie a knot. Because if it's not going to hurt where it is, you know, it doesn't really hurt the function. I'm not wearing this for a style. Because trust me, this morning I had tank top, this shirt, my denim shirt, my 3 wraps of my yarn cowl, the red one. I had this thing on my head. I had my green wool sweater, because that actually seems to block more and be warmer than some of my jackets. And then I had my fingerless mitts on. I have my ankle cuffs on. It was an entertaining look, very entertaining look. Oh, is this 50 grams? No, this isn't 50 grams. What is this? This is why we weigh things. this is 28 grams, where the other one was 41. So, I mean, maybe this would work on a baby. But that's also why we weigh things. So I have bits of tubes, and so if I weigh it, I can figure out if it's long enough without having to measure it. It's easier for me to read the large print scale than the tape measures. Even large print tape measures I'm not very good with. So do you want to see me crank a little? Oh, this is not perfect. How did I not catch that? And yes, if I make somebody else a tube, I'm far more particular about it. You know, the other way that I can figure out without having to count stitches, because that's challenging, once I crank this tube, I just have to lay the tubes on each other and I will figure out, because a 72 is a little bit wider this way than a 64. So all I have to do is lay it on top of each other to figure out if it's the same stitch count. So I know this was on a 64, cranked on a 64. So and this one has been washed, so it's fluffed up a bit. So I do believe this is 72. I might still try to get like my son to count them or something. I try to give the kids these projects. All right, let's see if we can do this. You know, so, because I'm such a good camera operator. Okay, are we ready? So, that's the cylinder. Okay, you see the colorful yarn inside. This bright green is the waste yarn. This thing is called a bonnet, and here are the weights. This is about 5 pounds of weight. It hangs off the bottom. The yarn comes up through this doodad, back down, and I cake my skeins. And I'm just very careful, because you can't have much tension going into the machine. Okay, I felt that. Did you hear it? I felt it. See this? It blipped. You want to know why it blipped? Because it wasn't coming off the cake very well. Once again, this is a prototype, so all I'm going to do is pull the blip, get all of it loosened from the needles, pull it on the inside. I'll crank the next row, and it'll actually be secure. I don't really have to weave it in, but I'll cut it in half, weave it in a little bit. I'm working on my weaving in skills.
Talking to me?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna make some of that
Bread.
cheesy bread.
Yeah.
You want a piece?
No thanks. So hold on, I have to put you down for a sec. I'm going to get over to my little blip. I'm going to hold it on the inside. You'll never even notice it from the outside that there's missing a chunk of a row. Okay, what is that about? All of a sudden the crank got a little bit tough. I haven't taken it all the way apart and cleaned it in a while, and maybe I should. What's that about? Indeed. gross. Yep, this one's a start over. Too many blips. Can you see it? Too many blips. So I am going to I have a carrier for this yarn that is slotted, so I can take it out. Do you see that? I have to be careful and put you down so I don't have 5 pounds on my toe.
Back up, Chip.
Okay, so see, now I can unravel it through the feeder and unravel the yarn, wrap it back up, and start over. So I think what I will do this afternoon is take that apart and clean it all out and reset it, because I've been having more issues. I think because it's been so dry. So I'll clean it, oil it, redo it, and it'll literally take me beginning to end and starting to sew together the headband thing about 20 minutes. The whole project will take me less than an hour to make a headband. I have these great ideas in my head that at some point I will just like crank a bunch of tubes and make a bunch of headbands. And as ridiculous as this sounds, sometimes I find the repetitiveness of that really, nah, I don't want to do that. But the repetitiveness of knitting or cranking, I'm fine with. So that's a few minutes of our day today shared with you on this lovely Vlogmas. I hope you are having a good December. Thank you for checking us out. Thank you for participating and supporting the podcast and the pattern downloads and the gifts that go out every quarter. Look with your heart first today.